here at the Plumbers and Steamfitters Local Union 230, and feel free, I want to make this as like an open collaboration as much as possible. So like anytime you have a question, and sir, if you could help me, if you see anybody have any raised hands, feel free to ask throughout the presentation. I'm used to getting interrupted. I have a lot of nieces and nephews, so. Core values that build our union. So we really focus on not just hourly wage, but benefits. I know this means nothing to you as young people, but health insurance for your entire family, pensions, right? Your teachers can talk to you about that. And then actual retirement, things like that, 401ks, those are all important to us. Worker safety. On average, we do have safer workplaces it just like anything in life, when people next to you are properly trained, you tend to see that across the board, you have a safer working environment for all of those people. Not leaving your tools out on the third floor, and, all kinds of different stuff, even down to the point of, how you implement some of the pipe, or where you put it, or how you carry it, can save your back and save you later, and ensure a lifelong career in the trade. And then we provide education. So that is probably our most proud aspect of the union, is that we provide training for both our apprentices, obviously, as you're going through, but throughout your career, you can go and train to be a foreman, which is in charge of a crew of people, journeying persons, men and women, and you can or you could go on and be a project engineer. You can, the point of this is you can really take your career wherever you want it, just like anything in life. Whatever you put into it, you're going to get out of it. So this is Candy Hood. She is she's a journeywoman now right here. She was an apprentice. She's a plumber for one of our biggest contractors in town, University of Mechanical. I think she was working for A.O. Reed at the time. The good thing about our trade is if you are laid off, you do head to another contractor. So that's the whole point of our trade. Over here, you see some welding hoods. So we do plumbing, pipe fitting, HVAC service technicians, and steam fitting. So over here, kind of the more steam fitting part of our local. And we're going to talk more about that later, about the difference between those and what they're like. So what is a union and why are they important? So today, on average, our wages haven't gone up with inflation, and there's definitely strength in unity, and workers collectively bargain with their employer. They're able to demand a certain wage and benefits. So higher wages, safer working conditions. Unions have always, been famous for giving you the weekend. You can thank them for that. The 8-hour workday, even past some child labor laws stuff back in the day. But family health care and retirement, again, are our big bread and butter issues really when we hit the collective bargaining table. Now, what is a collective bargaining table? It's when a group of workers come together, no matter what industry you're in, you can come together and collectively bargain and organize together to set a list of demands from your employer. Whether you get those demands happens at the bargaining table, right? And you have to negotiate for those. Unions partake into the democratic process when everyone has a vote and voice in the contract negotiations. So for us, we kind of have a standing deal with a lot of our contractors. We have over 300 signatories in Southern California, and we do a large contract. My membership can vote on where they'd like to see their allocation go to. So say, we're going to put $8 more on, well, really, realistically, let's talk $2.10. We're going to add for inflation. Where do you want those $2.10 to go? Well, we might divvy it up, 30 cents to retirement, $1 on the wage, 30 cents into training. And so my membership gets to then vote on their contract to see how that all gets divvied up. Unions fight for equal opportunity in the workplace. Things like the wage gap aren't a thing, right? Because across the board, a lot of our members make the same wage. So if you are a first year apprentice, you're making 23.80 an hour, across the board. If you are a second year apprentice, you have a set wage. And that remains the same all the way up to when you become a journey person. And I think our journey people are making somewhere around $49.80 an hour now. So just to give you an idea where that wage is at. It does differentiate though, like, so when you get in there and you're a real leader, like I said, you could be a foreman, a general foreman, which means you're in charge of an even bigger crew. You're paid over scale, a few bucks each title, you get paid over scale. So that's where I guess the change can happen. We produce top of the line pipe fitter and steam fitters. So a pipe fitter fits pipe for things like gas lines, everything but water, right? And the difference is, and here's, one of our guys welding, Emery Montag, he's retired now with a pension. We have a few, this is down at downtown San Diego. They're welding some cast iron there, as you can see. And this is actually at a control air guy at a Kiewit built the Otay Water District, or not Otay, the Otay Power Plant. So those are peaker natural gas plants. And that's what is going to go through that pipe right there.
So before we talk about really the specifics of your apprenticeship, maybe you can talk for just a second what an apprenticeship is, as opposed to going to college.
Okay. Yeah. So an apprenticeship is you're earning while you're learning. So the idea is you go to work for one of our contractors and then you go to school every 7th week. And the difference between that is, like, I went to college, I can tell you, I have, counterparts in our trade who did not and went straight out of high school into the trade, and they were able to buy a home after. Why is that difference? Is because they didn't pay for college. I have student loan debt. We have no student loan debt here. Your education is paid for by both the contractor and your fellow brothers and sisters. That's what we call each other here in the unions. But your fellow brothers and sisters per hour put a certain amount of their wage into your education. So this, I'll go kind of back to the apprenticeship because we're going to go over like what are the requirements of getting in and things like that. So we'll come back. But we produce exceptional plumbers as well. So plumbers do fun things like solder pipe here. As you can see, they deal with copper pipe, water, things like that. So this is how you apply to our apprenticeship. And again, our school is located at in Cuyamaca. We just got a brand new 55,000 square foot facility out in Santee. So it's a great time to come in because it's a gorgeous building. And a lot of our learning is actually, I would say the difference between college and apprenticeship is a lot of our learning is hands-on. Yeah, you have some of those classes that are book learning, but if you like to work with your hands, this isn't a great opportunity for you. And so these are our minimum requirements: 18 years of age, original birth certificate, no copies, original high school diploma or GED. If you don't have your high school diploma or GED, we will accept sealed transcripts. I believe those are free the first time you request those. You have to pay a second time, things like that. Physical requirement, carry 50 pounds, California driver's license. And then the step to that is you would, sorry, one second. You would then go to a written exam you would be invited to. If you pass that written exam, it's a 53 question test, a lot of Algebra 1, and then some basic knowledge of tools. And then if you pass that test, you only need a C or better. You would then go to our oral interview. So you go apply in person at 8616 Cuyamaca Street, Santee, Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Because of COVID right now, we are asking that you make an appointment in advance, and I'll provide a link in the chat after on who to call to make that appointment. Bring your original birth certificate, high school diploma, GED, driver's license. You'll be notified in the mail. So I will say we're old school, right? There's no applying online. Everything's in person. And then also old school in the sense that a lot of stuff is by mail. So information for the time and location of your written exam will be sent in the mail. Upon successful passing of the piping industry level assessment, you will once again be notified in the mail on the time and place of your oral interview. Now your interview, we are a joint labor management apprenticeship. So there's a lot of different apprenticeships out there. There's unilateral apprenticeships where your employer is just paying and sponsoring for you to go into those apprenticeships. The difference is when union apprenticeships, the word joint unilateral is this is a combination of workers and union representatives and then employers coming together for a joint assessment. So the people who will actually be interviewing you are possible employers, which is 2 or 3 contractors, and then your business agents that will be either your plumber or pipe fitter business agent will be in those rooms as well. So it's joint in that sense. So just to give you an idea of who you'd be talking to within those interviews. So UA is a drug-free workplace. I know things have been legalizing and such, but if you get hurt on a job, unfortunately, and many of my colleagues will tell you, because it has happened to them, you could be injured on a job and the first thing they ask you is to take a drug test. So just to give you an idea of just how intolerant. And when you get sent out to a job, it's not abnormal for a contractor to then have you take a drug test upon your dispatch out from the local union. So again, a little on how that works. You apply to the apprenticeship, say you become a member. You go on this thing called the out of work list. You sign that. A contractor will then say, hey, I need an apprentice. Here in California, we're really fortunate that for every state job or federal job, so prevailing wage is what we call it, job, they have to have about 1/5 of the hours worked by a journey person has to be worked by an apprentice. So that enables us to make sure that we are educating the future of our trade and ensuring that we're investing in those apprenticeship programs. So that's good for you because that means jobs, right? That means that you get called out more often than not to complete any, federal or state or even local job by the government. Has to be a certain number of apprenticeship hours. This is Marlena Pladel. She actually went through our Veterans and Piping program out of Camp Pendleton, was a former Marine. She is now a second-year apprentice, and she is thriving in the trade. She's kind of a young star of ours. She's going to do great. As a first-year apprentice, you're making $23.82 an hour, not knowing anything about the trade. Not bad, right? That's about 50% of your journeyman rate. Then those percentage points go up every year. So it's about $5 every year that you're getting an increase. Again, I don't know what other career you get that kind of pay increase every single year that you're going through school. You do have to reach a certain number of worked hours every year in order to advance your year of apprenticeship. So again, the big difference between college, it's not just about passing your classes, it is about getting that on-the-job training. And that's half our job, but it's your job to also keep that job, right? And ensure that you get those hours so you could advance to that next year. Here you see some bending of pipe, you see welders, and then this is actually at a local school that he's, I think, working on some cast iron pipe there. Might be plastic pipe, actually. Can't even tell. But again, address of our school, my email here below. Feel free to contact me with any questions. That's what my job's here for.
So I have a big question. So right now, what kind of demand is there out there for plumbing and things like that? I heard that there's a lot of guys who are about to retire, and there is just not enough people to really fill these kind of trained positions. Even though they're paying really well, and you can make a good living, and you can even start your own business and stuff like that. So maybe you can talk to that a little bit, because I think the students need to understand that, what it looks like out there in terms of why would you want to do.
Yeah. So other than obviously the hourly rate that, we kind of address, the demand for the industry is definitely going to be at an all-time high. So we are at a point, I think, in our nation that a lot of our piping is aging. So you guys might have heard some of the, headlines of lead in our pipe. Well, before the 1970s, we used to use lead in our pipes, right? We used to use lead pipe. And actually, that's how we got a lot of pipe together and things like that. And you soldered and got all that. So the big difference now is a lot of that needs to be replaced. You see schools making those investments through bond monies. You see retrofitting of older buildings for things like HVAC retrofits, to make more energy efficient, whether it be hot water heaters or HVAC, units, package units, and things like that. So you're going to see a lot of that work, not to mention the building. So the other thing you guys, might have heard of is we've been having these rolling blackouts, and we work a lot on the industrial level of helping our power grid and things like that. We work on things like pump storage units, on peaker units, and I have some pictures later. But also building things like hospitals, right? In this time of COVID, one of my contractors, I have a list of all our projects here at Gilead, one of the bigger labs here in San Diego County. They are expanding like crazy, right? So, and there's reason to believe they'll do coronavirus vaccine testing and making there. So that's, it's incredible all of the different kind of industries we touch in construction, because you don't realize just how booming it is until you see, like, get a bigger breath. We do mostly commercial and heavy industrial, and we're even making it right now, like everyone's redoing their house. So all of the residential is also booming. And we actually had 3 of our own members this last year go into business for themselves, service contractors, retrofitting, things like that. And we encourage that. So that's why I kind of preface this at the beginning of my presentation, but it really is what you make of it, and whatever you want to kind of take your career. No one's going to be able to take away these 5 years that you learn to become a journey person. And you can go and take that and be a business person. You can go and take that and be a project manager. You can go and take that and be a general foreman and take your leadership and be a foreman, So there's a lot of options once you go through this 5-year apprenticeship. Again, it's earn while you learn. So you're not making money while you're in that classroom, but you're making money obviously on the job site. That 7th week, you go a whole block training. It's 40 hours. You go to school that whole week. You graduate after 5 years, a master of your trade, and just short of an AA degree. And we're actually working to assimilate those into the California community colleges, so it's even easier to transfer those over. So you're getting a job. Certifications, we're all about certifications here. So in order to be safe on a job, you need to have your OSHA 30, OSHA 10. In order to solder, you have to have your certification for that. In order to weld, you have to have, your stick UA 21 or your big UA 41. So we have all these certifications, and we even expect our journey persons to upkeep. We have a journeyman upgrade training and that's all free to our membership throughout their career. We always encourage people to get involved in our union, right? These are the women in our trade here, not all of them, but many of our women. And this is a women's conference that we go to every year to promote women in non-traditional workforces. This is at Pillars of the Community. We helped paint this wall white so that they could put this beautiful mural up. This is an apprentice getting involved in the apprenticeship contest. So every year we send a certain number of apprentices to like a welding contest. We have quite a few different schools in Southern California, and they all can kind of compete. But this apprenticeship contest is actually throughout the entire state of California. I do want to mention we are throughout the nation. So after you're done with your 5-year apprenticeship program, you could work anywhere in the nation. So for young people, that's kind of appealing because you don't have a family or anything holding you back. You're able to go and work anywhere in the nation because you're a journeyman UA member, and you can go do any work throughout the nation. This is Sean Ellis and his 2 daughters. He is an instructor of our Veterans in Piping program and a former apprentice of Local 230, and he worked in the field. So again, going a little bit back of the types of projects we do, so you know like where you'd be working, things like hospitals, schools, college campuses. Carlsbad Desalinization Plant was built by our Local 230 members. Hotels, pharmaceutical labs. I mentioned Gilead before, right? North County, county courthouses, military barracks, the Marine Hospital you see off of 5 at Camp Pendleton was built by union labor. Petco Park, stadiums, water treatment plants, and then medical office buildings. You know, things with hospitals, you cannot mess up a gas line to an oxygen line, right? That would not be good for anyone. So they do require these skilled and trained journey persons to be on these jobs to ensure safety for everyone and for their actual general product and what that building may look like after. Any questions on the types of projects we do? None?
Now,
All right.
some of the people go on to just like go to residential as well, or?
So we are making our move into residential a lot more now. Like I said, 3 of our contractors kind of going over it. We all, you know, this is like I kind of alluded to, but this is a partnership between our contractors and the union, right? So our job is to both provide the training and a qualified workforce to our contractors. So whatever our contractors demand of us or need from us, that's where the industry leads, right? Because we want to be able to make sure that they're competitive out there. So now that we have these residential contractors on the books, we will be training towards that. We will be providing them manpower or woman power and sending out people as they need to make sure that their business is successful. So yes, short answer to your question, yes, we do some residential. The majority of our work today is commercial, but we are moving towards that model. This is us out talking to high school students. This is down in Imperial Valley. We have this virtual welding machine. There might be a few of these actually at the new school, is what I've heard. But you also get to really weld, which is also fun. Again, our Veterans in Piping program at Pendleton. And this was down actually at, where was this? Chula Vista Elementary School. This is all the trades kind of coming together in solidarity. So there's also other trades, and feel free to reach out to me about any trade. I speak to all of them: iron workers, electricians, and you know, elevator techs, everyone. So we are, I have to say, one of the highest paid trades out there. I think, you know, next closest to us would probably be the electricians, and the only one that I know above us is the elevator technicians. So, yeah.
Yeah, and for all the students here, you can check the Google Classroom for College and Career Center. We will have other apprenticeships being featured in speaker sessions. That's going to go on. There'll be another one today for 6th period, but there's going to be a whole other group next Monday and then the Monday after that. So if you want to sign up on your own for that, look for the form off of my Google Classroom, and you can sign up on your own. A lot of instructors are bringing their students, obviously, into these as sort of an exposure. I think one of the key things we were trying to get over today is that there's a lot of occupations that pay really well, and you're not going to go to community college for those, right? And you're not going to go to a 4-year university to be a plumber. You don't go, hey, I'm going to go to Palomar. You're going to be very disappointed to find out that they do not have a major in plumbing at Palomar, right? Now, you may end up taking some courses up at Palomar, maybe in conjunction with the actual apprenticeship itself. But the whole idea behind all of these speaker series is so that you understand there's a whole other method of education and training out there that you probably don't realize, and most of the counselors don't spend a lot of time talking about. So we always want you to get interested in something beyond high school. But a lot of times it's not necessarily college that's going to be it. It really depends on your career choice. If you're interested in plumbing and construction, I mean, this is where you go to make that happen, right? And you just don't show up one day at a job site and go, hey, I want to be a plumber, right? They're going to look at you kind of funny and go, oh, okay, kid, well, you need to get an apprenticeship, right? Because you're going to have to train to do all this stuff. It's not something you just pick up because you show up one day, right? So that's the idea behind this. And the other idea is that because of the demographics of the United States, there's a lot of people who are getting old and retiring all at once. And they're a generation we call the baby boomers that were born right after World War II. There was a huge, big bump in population. Well, they're all retiring right now at once. And that also leaves all of these jobs open and available. So, and again, this may not be something that you realize that maybe you're interested in, or you didn't understand the model of what an apprenticeship is, right? But you can think about it as most students will do basically one of four things. They're either going to go to community college, right? They're going to go to a 4-year university straight out of high school. And only about 30% of the students will do that. You can go into an apprenticeship, or maybe you're going to join the military, right? You should be looking at one of those four things after high school, right? Not just, I'm going to go get a job. Well, that job is going to be great while you go to college, but typically that's not a job that you're going to have the rest of your life, or that's going to buy a house for you. You got to get more knowledge. You got to get more training to be able to pull that off. All right. Yeah. And there's our requirements for all of this.
And I put this link up in the chat too, so feel free to take it from there. Suzanne is who you'll contact down at the school on how to make an appointment. Again, if you're 18, please go down and apply. This is much like college in the sense that we only accept applications so we accept them all the time, but we only start classes basically on the semester start. So you're looking at, if you're going to start in August, you're going to be interviewed sometime in March. You're going to be, you're going to be tested sometime in March, interviewed sometime in June, and then you're going to go and start classes in August. If you get tested in September, you're going to be interviewed in October, and you start class in January. So kind of the same as like fall semester and then spring semester, right? So, but as you can see from like the timing, say you apply today, you won't start until August of next year. So I always tell people, like, go and apply, keep your job now, and then, because this might take up to 6 to 8 months for you to even get into. All right. And then careers, again, the big difference between plumbers and pipe fitters. Plumbers install, repair, service, maintain piping and plumbing systems that deal with like potable water. We discussed like even, we actually have a huge agreement with the pure water, wastewater, and turning that much of that into potable. We work on, things that plumbers work with on a daily basis, are, wrench tools, things that, the backflow. We have contractors who all they do is backflow. And so that's when you test the flow of the water coming in and out of the main water main from the street. Steam fitters fabricate, assemble, install, maintain, and repair process piping. So that's transporting of fluids, slurries, gas, residential, commercial, and industrial. And the heavy industrial is where you'll see a lot of more travel for a lot of our pipe fitters than you will plumbers. And then, yeah, so they have to, plumbers have to know a lot in code. So again, much like college in the sense that your first year, you can kind of say where you want to go, but until you get into your second year of classes, we don't really start giving you classes just because like your first year classes are a lot of safety, a lot of OSHA, things like that, just to keep you safe on the job site. Realistically, you'll be doing anything that your journey person asks you to do. A lot of, tough work, but again, it's a lifelong career.
And Celia had a good question. She came up with what skills are needed for this occupation. So I guess that may be one thing is what kind of things should students be doing in high school to prepare themselves for an apprenticeship like this?
Yeah, so I would say the basic knowledge of tools is something that like you can't really study, right? Like the math you can study, algebra, like, brush up on that algebra 1 textbook you have, some conversion of fractions or some conversion of fractions, decimals, all that will like come up in the written exam, the piping industry exam. But the thing that doesn't always come up is like the problem solving and the actual knowledge of the tools. So familiarizing yourself with that as much as you can. Unfortunately, I know a lot of us, my dad wasn't a big tool guy. So like, if you got an uncle, you got something, a neighbor, somebody that'll kind of like take you in the garage. And if they got, quite a bit of tools, then it'll be good to familiarize yourself with that. I think that's something that like we kind of underestimate, assume that a lot of people, I think that's why a lot of the building trades gets a bad rap for like, oh, well, it's always just kids getting in, but it is because they grew up around the industry, right? So there is most definitely an advantage for them. But that does not mean I don't want to discourage any students from applying. I mean, hey, we got YouTube, right? There's also videos I'm sure you can watch that kind of go over those basic knowledge of tools. Things that you'll see in that exam are things like, there'll be a bunch of hand tools and then there'll be a power saw and they'll be like, which one does it fit here? Obviously the one that plugs in is the power saw, stuff like that. So I would just, again, familiarize yourself. Again, if you have that desire, you like working with your hands, you don't want to sit in a room, office all day, this is a great opportunity for you. Somebody asked, can you
couple more minutes. So Paul, you had a question.
Yeah, just a quick question, Bernadette. I know one of the fears my students have is public speaking, and I just want to get your thoughts on what suggestions you had as far as, because I know that comes into play when it comes to interviews. So what type of interviews, first of all, do you do? Is it one-to-one? Are they panel interviews?
Panel.
Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, so it'll be a panel interview, again, with the 2 contractors and then your 2 business agents here at Local 230. So all I can say is just, we're making a $40,000 investment in you. So we just want to know that you want to make a real career. And like I said, don't feel like that's pigeonholing you and like, I have to be a plumber for the rest of my life. I have to be a pipe fitter for the rest of my life. I think this is just opening the doors to an entire industry that you're not currently aware of. And so I would just be, honest with them. Don't, be afraid to share your excitement for, to get on those tools or to be able to get involved in the union and things like that. Like, people feel your energy. So I think as long as that comes across, I think you'll do fine. And again, I'm here. So like throughout your process, you finish your test. Hey, Brenda, I haven't heard on this, or I'm, nervous about this, or, I'm always here to chat with y'all too. And that's my cell in the chat too. So my job is to kind of carry you through. So.
Okay, I think we've run out of time here. The period's going to end and students do need to get to their next class. Bernadette, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I'll leave off your contact information in my Google Classroom, and this is being recorded. So if the students want to watch this again some other time, they'll be available to do so. Again, thank you everybody for coming today. I appreciate it. All right, everybody take care. And again, we're going to have more of these apprenticeship speakers, a few more today, and then a whole bunch on next Monday as well. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you.